Okay, let's start again. Welcome to DocsDay Edition 1, presented by Goethe-Zentrum Kampala. We are very happy to have you with us tonight. And the first edition, we are showing two documentaries from Uganda. One, Demystifying Lifts and Lows by Salonje, the second, Poverty by two outstanding Ugandan filmmakers would like to present to you. Both films are surrounding the topic of mental health issues, that is not being discussed enough in a country like Uganda. And therefore, the stage is yours. I would also like to welcome Joel, who's going to be our moderator for tonight. He will lead you through the evening. We have the screenings, we have a live Q&A with the filmmakers, and we also would like the audience to engage themselves to ask their questions. My name is Sina Weber. I'm the culture coordinator, and together with my team, Annie, the project assistant, and Christian Hut, the cultural team, we say hi, and I would like to give my word to Joel.
Yes, hello everybody. Welcome to DocsDay with PZK. We're very happy to have you all here. I'd like to welcome the filmmakers, Solange Titi and Francis Ojokodong. 2 billion films. We have Demystifying Lifts and Lows, which is a very interesting, like experimental documentary. Really takes us into the heads of two individuals, I believe, that's suffering from different mental illnesses. Very touching a film. I can't wait for us to get into it. And we have A Shame of Puberty by Francis Ojokodong, who's the big filmmaker from Gulu. And we're so happy to have him here. And yeah, his film deals with sanitary pads and being inaccessible to like girls in high school and different schools, like a big social issue, and it gets in the way of the education of the girl child. It's a very well done, put together film. I think you'll all enjoy it. So without further ado, we're going to start with Demystifying Lifts and Lows by Solange. And then we'll take a break and do a Q&A session for her movie. We'll get to hear reactions from you guys as well. And then we'll move on to Francis's film, A Shame of Puberty, do the Q&A for that and get your reactions and wrap up. So without further ado, I think let's get into the films.
Thank you, Joel. I'm going to share my screen now. Please check out the chat, because you can also watch the film of Salonje in an extra tab on YouTube, in case there are issues when the shared screen is on.
I had gone to study in the UK. And then all of a sudden, in my second year, I saw every white person as a racist. I began arguing with them, and in the long run, it got me in trouble with the university authorities. And then they asked me to leave, and home to Uganda. Still the same. I went to Makerere. Then all of a sudden, I felt like this is not the right place for me. I got withdrawn. I didn't like people. So many things were happening. Like many people thought maybe this guy is taking drugs because the behavior is not like it used to be when I was in high school. It became a bit concern.
It's never a journey that starts like today is when we started. It's a culmination of things, and usually, sometimes you realize, sometimes you don't realize until triggers something. So like for me, it was my uh, I went to a couple of people were close to me. So secondary school, mid-secondary school, I think it was after like my grandma, who we had become very, very close, is when I began to feel this thing.
You have people with chronic kidney disease, hypertension that's going to affect all the with chronic kidney disease, hypertension that is going to affect all the arteries in your body. Okay, and it's a okay. The brain also has its chronic conditions, and these are the ones we call mental disorders. We'll have schizophrenia as the most extreme, it's the most debilitating. Then we have bipolar, which is can be equally very debilitating. We have major depression, okay, among other mental disorders. And these two, that is depression and bipolar, are some of the most common, lumped in our classification of mental illnesses as mood disorders. We are talking about feeling, sadness, joy, okay, pleasure, okay, how somebody really feels. Under normal circumstances, will have a normal swing between feeling good and sometimes feeling a bit low, and and that's this is the normal variation of anybody's mood, anybody that is fine. However, if one particular mood persists day in, day out, day in, day out, in such a way that it affects how somebody relates with others and how somebody is able to function, that is school or work, okay, we will call that a disorder. So somebody gets a mood disorder.
I was in a space in my life where there was barely anyone I could call family. Like, there's nothing that convinced you to go on with life. Nothing meant anything. Surprisingly, I think that to understand like depression as a mental health problem and to understand it as a disease in a sense, a disorder, was much later. Was, I think, second year university, maybe that's say 7 years later. I don't remember how exactly I got to googling it, but yeah, I saw a long list of symptoms and I was just checking. But this one, this one, this one.
I felt myself that I was normal. I didn't know I had bipolar. An uncle was studying, doing his master's in medicine, asked that I should be taken to see one of his lecturers who happened to be a psychiatrist. That was after 2 years, I think, after I came back from the UK. Then when I saw him, we had a long chat and I was too hyper. Then he just knew what the problem was. Because they looked at all my documents, what was happening from the UK. They had a very proper record of what I was going through, what happened at the university, how I reacted. So he just said, okay, this is really the problem. It should be put on my condition became manageable. I became fine.
Typically, this disorder has periods of being normal in between. Remission is a period when there are no symptoms at all. Sometimes the remission is as long as 5, 6, 7, 10 years without an episode. Okay. And other times they're more rapid. Somebody has 2, 3 episodes a year. Okay. And those ones need more attention. So it's a cyclic disorder. So one moment somebody will be very, very happy and they'll have a normal phase. And then afterwards, they may go into the depressive phase. And the symptoms for the depressive phase are typical, the same. Okay, whether it's bipolar depression or the major depression.
You can either be in a very high mood or you can be very low. The high is the manic episode and the low is a depressive episode. You don't have both at the same time. It really depends on what's happening to you. To me, when I lost one of my parents, I became very depressed. I did not take the medicine. Then after some time, I got manic after getting depressed. When you're depressed, you lose interest in doing most things. Most times you just end up sleeping and you could stay in your room for 2 days, 3 days, you're not getting out. Then you know that you're depressed. But then for the manic episode, it gives you too much energy. You feel like, you could stay up the whole night, you don't sleep. In my experience, I know that if I take 3 days when I don't sleep, I know that many are set in. My friends tell me when I start being too active on social media, like posting like throughout the night, then they begin telling me, you need to see a doctor. There's something wrong. So I know it's mainly the sleep patterns, but there are other things. Become too active, you become too talkative. You become too argumentative. You think you're right all the time, and picking up quarrels and any slight thing sets you off. You get irritated so fast.
What makes bipolar a mental illness is the fact that somebody is very, very disturbed in terms of their thinking and how they feel, okay, and how they perceive things. All these domains of somebody's mental capacities are affected in such a way that they cannot function socially. They will have difficulty interacting as they would if they were okay, and they would also have difficulty with being able to work. There were students being able to school, and that is at the base of a definition of a mental illness.
Society will always expect you to be a. Everyone needs to make their own definition of strength. I believe there's strength in admitting vulnerability.
We need more education on mental health in general, so that people are aware, then they can treat patients with dignity.
So illnesses get treated and they do get better, and so can feel like their life is back. Please get your relatives off those chains, get your relatives out of those rooms where you have been locking them, take them to hospital, let them get treated. Okay? We have the medications, we have the doctors to treat them.
I feel the medicines have been of help, and I fear that if I leave it, what is going to happen?
Just don't understand. Timon, take it out. Timon, take it out. Timon, take it out. You'll never understand.
It's me, the one and only with the buzz. We on the party from
Timon, take it out. You'll never understand.
Okay, that was Demystifying Lips and Lows by Solange TT. Thank you, Solange. That was really moving, really powerful film. Um, I'd like to begin with what motivated you to tackle the subject of mental illness in your film?
Thank you for having me, DocsDay. In your very first edition, I'm Solange Kankunda Titi, and I'm from Kampala Film School. I graduated this year. So this is my graduation film. It hasn't been officially released, but because this is a sort of festival, it is out here. I chose to do mental illness because I realized that there are people on the streets for all the reasons that people don't even understand. Some people think that people on the streets just because of drugs. Actually, that's what most people in Uganda think. And it's not like that. It's not because of drugs. It's because of different health conditions, different issues. Some of them have these mental health issues that, that people are not aware about. And therefore, they are on the street. So that's why I chose to do this documentary, because while I was doing my research, I realized that everybody, like 8 out of 10 people, were saying no, drugs. And yet it's actually not that. So that is why I chose to tackle the subject of mental illness.
Yeah, not forgetting witchcraft, of course.
Yes.
But yeah, that's as good a reason as any. So my second question is, I really enjoyed the visual language of your film, in particular. I like the time lapse of the lake, shot of the homeless man in the rain. Like they all evoke very powerful, moving feelings. Like you can feel the loneliness, like on the street. I mean, these are people we do pass every day.
Every day.
Like yeah, and we just look at them rambling to themselves and everything. So as like these guys were talking, I felt like I really felt the isolation you'd feel in your head. And I thought that the images that you used really complemented the things they were saying really well. So how did you approach the visual language of your film?
Oh, thank you. I'm glad that that was what you took away from watching a film. But because it's a documentary and I chose to mix the modes.
Yeah.
I chose to mix modes. I'm a poet, so I like to do very, poetic films. And I felt that I have to implement that as a mode. I needed to do something also participatory and something expository. So I tried to blend these modes because, there are rules, but you can break them to tell, the story you want because it is, and I just felt it was right to do it. For me, the greens, the water, that was representing after life. You get, like, you can continue despite everything. Like, water represents healing. So I chose to take those shots of nature and what to show that even if these conditions are chronic, which means that you have to work around having them, live with them throughout your life, you will find a way. Like, you can win, you can continue to prosper, you will find healing, and there will be life. So that's why I chose to blend it with a B-roll in that way.
Thank you so much. I just want to read Joan's comment. She says, very insightful short film that unveils the reality of mental health, especially in Uganda, where many people don't acknowledge mental illness. Very well done, Titi.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
So my next question is, given the sensitive nature of the stories, because that's always like an issue when it comes to shooting documentaries surrounding sensitive topics.
Yes.
Goes for like topics like even like prostitution, mental illness, things that are like really taboo. So how did you go approaching people like to be subjects of your film? I'm interested like what that process was like for you, the pre-production process.
All right. So it was quite tough because it is a sensitive subject. Mental illness is stigmatized in Uganda, and people also, it shows them in a vulnerable way that some people just take them wrong. So I chose to do it by hiding the identities, because while doing my research, I realized that some people actually, once they come out to have these conditions, they are not given equal opportunities. Then some places don't take them on for jobs because they don't think they can be socially capable, or they're not highly employable because of these conditions. So I had to hide the identities, and as much as the subjects were happy to share, just for their safety and for them to represent everyone else living with those conditions, I had to hide their identities and film in a way that you can't really identify who they are. And also their families it was hard to get interviews from their family members, because the subject may be open to talking about their problem, but it's also a source of family shame in Africa. In Uganda, it's embarrassing because people don't understand mental illness because of all the stigma surrounding it. So it was a bit tough to shoot and tell the story, but with what we were able to, this is what we could bring you. I just wish we were in a society where people can come out and be allowed to, live their lives fully, because they can continue, they're meaningful, and, they can live meaningful lives. They can be instruments for a lot in society, and, basically all that. So this is what we want to show, that people with mental illness can and should be accepted to work with us in this society.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. I think we had a Mercy Geno was raising her hand earlier.
Yes, hi Joel, hi
Hi.
Kankunda.
Yes.
It's an amazing film. You just right before you just talked to, you asked her what I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask her about the rapport process and the sourcing process. How did she get to find these amazing people? Most times it's hard to know who is mentally ill and who is okay, and nobody ever says it out loud. So I just want to know how you finally sourced somebody, or did you know them personally and all that? But then you sort of already answered that, so that's all. But it's an amazing film, and I'm a poet too, just so you know.
Oh, that's lovely, Oh, actually, something else, as much as some other mental illness films have been made in the past, there was an issue working with Butarika Hospital because of the light in which some filmmakers shade, the mentally ill. Like, they don't treat them with respect, even in the way they're shot. And, they show their most vulnerable side, and it doesn't represent the hospital well that is already facing a stigma. You know, like when you hear Butarika, you think, what is going on there? But it is actually a very good place, a clean place, a calm and harmonic place where you can heal. So that is something else I'd want to put out there, that people should shed the subjects with a fair light and not one-sided, because we do not help by, you know, fighting stigma with and just enhancing it. And yet that is what we need to do.
We have let's see. We have a comment from Colin. Says it felt like a lecture. Using film to inform about subjects like mental illness is a wise move. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Geno says, true. I have a therapist from Butavika, so literally I'm a Butavika patient, you know, which is living her life, living her best life.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So my other question now is, what are your thoughts on the road to building sensitization, the issue of mental illness in Uganda? Like, what systems need to be put in place for it to be, for like more people to be reached, to be helped? Like, what needs to be done to get this ball rolling?
So first, I think our main problem is the stigma. How do we fight the stigma? We need to first allow our friends, family, our loved ones to tell us, to be open to us when they have these issues, and give them that space without judgment, give them a place and a voice. And also we need to also work with these hospitals like Butarika Referral. You know, there should be helplines, because sometimes it's, you know, so many things lead to a breakdown. It just doesn't happen in one day. It's this and this piles onto that, and next thing you know, you can't handle it anymore. We need to have a helpline that is like, you know, like how we have a police contact in case of an emergency. Mental health is an emergency. Sometimes it is just that moment that changes somebody's life. I mean, people are so close to just giving up always. So if we have a helpline that, you know, they can talk to and get help from like ENTs or these hospitals or counselors or whatever, but something for everyone that they can get on in case they have an emergency and they have no one and they need to be supported. And also we need to be support systems as a community. When our friends come back into society from having these big breakdowns, we shouldn't judge them and call them names and, you know, look down upon them or pity them, because that condescending behavior doesn't help. It doesn't make them want to even connect or even share. And another thing is, when a society that doesn't allow men to come out when they have issues, when they have a load they are going through, we're the first people to be like, no, a man shouldn't cry, a man shouldn't, you know, we have, and it's so wrong. It is not right for people to think that men don't experience these issues as well, because they do. They're human just like us. So when they're going through their emotions, they should vent. They should have people to talk to, and it doesn't, and we shouldn't demean them, because it doesn't make them less manly to have emotions. It just makes them human. So these are reasons. And yeah, systems, there are also helplines. Butabika, for instance, has a helpline. Then they have ambulances in case you see somebody who ran off from the hospital, but most people don't have that. It's not public information. So if you see somebody that has run off, I've forgotten the line, but I think I'll share it later so that you guys can let everybody know. They have a contact that you can call in case you find somebody on the streets who is, you know, because they wear a sort of uniform that you can tell that, oh, this is a patient who has probably run off or something. So you can let the hospital know so that they can help them. So things like that.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, and yeah, just hopping on to the whole thing you said about men. the subjects also in this film are all men. Was it because that was a particular focus for you, or did it just turn out that way that those are the people you had to work with?
So I think it was a happy coincidence. I did not intend for it to be men, but I needed to make this film. And given my situation, my subjects, the subjects that were, already sharing about mental illness, then, females also, they also had us. I find that they're harder subjects to approach generally for any story. It's easier to get a guy to to jump on an interview. They don't need to, do whatever, jump into hair and makeup. I don't know why the ladies don't they're not that spontaneous. Anyway, so it just so happened that I got to know these subjects, and that is how it came to be that it was men. But I was also happy because of our society and how men are not represented and they don't have a voice, and they need, us to back them up when it comes to this issue of mental illness, because we need our brothers and sons and fathers to get the support they need when they are going through it, as we all do. Because mental illness is, it is an imbalance. It is a chemical imbalance. It's something that you cannot control, like how people get diabetes, how people get pressure, how people get, it's just a condition like any other, anybody can get it. So we shouldn't make anyone feel like, you shouldn't be getting this condition. This is not for, this is a condition for the rich or for the how. I don't even know why people have that perception of these illnesses. It's actually quite funny, how I don't want to say ignorant, but it's a bit it gets there. So that's how people feel about it, and we just need to wake them up. But it was a happy coincidence that we could have gentlemen represented.
Okay, that's nice. So Angela says hashtag mental health is an emergency. I want to let everyone know as well that please send in your questions if you have any for Solange. We're going to get a reaction from Francis now, our other featured filmmaker today. So he's going to tell us, give his comments, like what he thought about the film, and maybe possibly has some questions for Solange too. So take it away, Francis.
I was deeply touched in a lot of ways because I think the beauty of art is just it make us reflect on our life and start to critically look into things that we take for granted. And like when I watched this documentary, I think I was appalled by what like the interview was being. I mean, like what he said about like how like his connection would start, because then sometimes we just find ourselves in the house and we think we just don't want to go out and we just don't want to see anybody. But actually, think like the actual process of being depressed, I realized from Titi's film that is actually like the starting point uh, of say like mental illness, because so like the idea is like people do get depressed a lot of like in a lot of ways, and I think sometimes we ignore it and say, like we're gonna get over it. I don't want to talk to my brother right now. I don't want to talk to my immediate family right now, and maybe like after about a week or something, I'm gonna come back to myself. But then I actually think that when I watch this, it kind of actually opened up my eyes that if like just a situation is actually happening to myself, I've got to be, curious about what is going on with me, or like if I see that with my immediate family or friends. But I don't think right now I have like a question in particular like for Titi, but I also like congratulate her for take a chance at bold step to tell like just a powerful story, like something that make us look into ourselves, but also something that make us look in our society, and finding a way like to give a voice to those who might not necessarily be able like, to talk to other people about how they feel. And it was a subject matter that I think was very crucial for you, Titi, like to bring that into our attention. And I really felt touched, and actually think that as a fellow creative person. I actually look forward to having an opportunity to actually get to meet face to face someday, and hopefully maybe try to work like on some stories together. Because I think then as creatives we have a responsibility to be like the voice, and we have like the responsibility to to try to tell the story of where we come from, and I think that is really really just an eye opener. And I just love your story, and I look forward to seeing more what you're gonna be working on in the near future. And congratulations, and thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Francis.
Mm,
Thank you,
One.
Francis. I also look forward to that collaboration because I was also very touched by the Shame of Puberty film that we're going to catch in a bit. And yeah, about what you said, I think it's very important for everyone to release their emotion when they need to, cry when you need to, scream when you need to, so that, you know, everything isn't so overwhelming. Because trust me, you can hold on to these emotions thinking to be an adult and ninja it out. But
yeah.
the moment that you don't let go of these feelings, it leads to a problem. So eventually, that is how you come to be depressed. There are things that you can notice. There are common symptoms, signs like lack of sleep that they talked about. There's lack of sleep, there's feeling down, there is anxiety. So we all need to pay attention to these feelings when they're, you know, chronic and consistent, so that we understand what's going on. Have more therapy visits, because you don't need to be diagnosed to have a therapy visit. Sometimes you just need to talk, and sometimes you don't even know that you're not well until you see the doctor. So I guess that is it.
Yeah,
I
but
would,
also
I would encourage people to do that.
yeah, I thought also like after watching you film, and then like after uh like you see a lot of people's stories, and you realize like the society that we live in, no matter how far away from one another, it seems to be like the same practices that we have here in Gulu is not so far from the practices that you have in Kampala, or like any storyteller elsewhere. And so like to me, I thought like when I saw like the title of your film, it made me so curious. Like growing up as a child in northern Uganda, I have had instances where people would say like somebody has gone to school and they have studied so much and they are too knowledgeable that they actually get to run mad. Yeah. So now when I was watching like this interview, then like I heard this guy talk of how he had like to, he went to like to school in UK. So probably coming back like in the village setting, people will feel like, okay, you see like school is bad because then you study, you have a lot of information than your brain can actually take them, and then you actually run mad. But I also thought like that is something that I identify to a lot, but not that because we would go mad, but it's because there's actually a condition that maybe we don't look through them in the perspective that like the medical people would. And it is just a great film, Didi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Hey, that was a great conversation. If there are no more comments, we're going to proceed to Francis's film now, A Shame of Puberty. Sina has just posted a link in the chat uh, for Francis's film, which you can click on. Um, so yeah, we're going to watch that, and then we'll reconvene back here, and we'll continue with Francis. So thank you all. Please enjoy. Akel, did you think about what I told you? You need to think about it. I have a big surprise for you today. Iwenyo.
Hey, Ian Wepe. Ming warai.
Guys, look. Level up the Baba kill. Shame. They're gonna Charlie.
Paper again, Magitica watching. Just go back home and get yourself some sanitary pads.
Like a monkey, like a pussycat.
Akelo, do you have any school project idea? Any 12 beroka when you made go chene gankwan.
Kombere dong cha bi chi meti chi. Puru pe. Mala yor ma pia wi kombete. We will latin ya me breka ti ya kombete.
Auntie, arre minna na kar na kichwe parang ayeti mata. Mete wela pads.
Pads? Ingwe mabe. Ni wa. Itam na twa
Very good.
Wayu tiki banana chilenga liba bij piyat mo gamu dueri mo karangech. Kong tong waketa liba chil kimia bij machara chake chulu banane.
Tiano, why ti marachia?
An papara kilo. Bia charna mir poto pitu pa wayu. Anati kan piena mir chente. Yere ele pe wagamu nongi bojo makele wa. Kel chente wa mi yat.
Lutina nyira teno chan. Ulpadano pula pola cheli koma nyaga momani akelo latin cage. Tika dogi pero machala latina nyaga uchago neno kare ne memon remo chago mol ki come memon aremo chire apago doga botu
Adir Tiano.
Yes.
Amero banyak pia nama peculi cabian mo karne. Amero tikere pergi mama pia attack kumbeti. Apa ya? Tiang, why ti marai dong mero ya pio. Ki an bena mero pads. Konya chana weng mara tikere em.
Gin mabe maroma timupiri ene mina chake dose me insulin. Ento pepads.
Konya do tiang.
Akelo loke yor metachente amini pads. Yate eniteo weke tuchu pio yor yot. Pien kaliero mago chikero ramu doko nok mapembo konyi weyo.
Okay. May Amara, some surprise for you. You seem not to be fine. Is there a problem? Can I be of help?
Pegura, dog pebe lubukar chal ini guakan.
You know I love you.
Abi dori walk bod lodge bera lubukar cha wing. Nene will or would be defilement money machoni. Mayor kong tini yue auntie, kong peti mayor.
Atu era yue yo. Eto iwa po bu yue. Kene dong tek. Umira tute dako. Mui chet kuya gor la tena.
Dakta wachi kitujo mo yor kako yar bu balo.
Ayela pe. Abe wok
patano pekingeo weka mini ula pola cheli komanyaga mumani akelo latin kid tika doki pero macam latina nyaga chago neno kare le memon remo chago mol kikome memon aremo chire abago doga botu megewa ube choki anyira uchuk chwingi mini gitam makonyogi wekin pegu balanyim iye ponyo tina wobe pegu bekayet kaguneno remo ipo palatina nyaga.
Akelo, what are you doing?
I'm making reusable sanitary pads. Mind giving me a hand?
Akelo, where did you get these materials from?
These materials? I had some piece of clothes, so I decided to make it with this so that I can use. As you know, I can't afford pads. This is going to be of help to me.
La chomo matigo nyem mape woro mwaganeba beru kitam machol me bala nyim pa kelo abi willi gin my mero abi willi pads akelo beo ye bala nyim me.
This is what I call thinking outside the bracket.
Yeah, I think this is a great deal for the school project. You should try it out.
No, I can't.
Akelo, believe in yourself. You can make it.
In this project, we hope to rear 30 pigs. Each piglet shall cost 25,000 shillings, and each fully grown ones will be sold at 250,000 shillings in 14 months. This shall give us a return of 6.7 million shillings after the pigs are sold. Look at the girl who saw a dark skirt.
Quiet. You people at the back.
Okay, thank you. Let's welcome our next and last presenter of today.
Hello. Mine is a tree planting project. In this project, we hope to buy 5,000 seedlings and help make our country Uganda go green again. As you all know, we have lost our precious vegetation for charcoal burning.
Akelo, this is your chance. Be bold. Walk up there and talk about your reusable sanitary pads.
If we win this grant,
and that was our last presenter for today. Thank you.
Is she a pupil of the school?
She was a pupil here, but she has been out of school for quite a while due to school fees issues.
don't think there's anything you can do for her. She cannot present. We are sorry, young girl. We're only considering those who have registered prior to this competition.
And by policy, we only want school-going children, not outsiders.
So, Akelo, can you please have some discipline and get off the podium? Because we won't tolerate any other sort of disgrace in this school.
Dear judges, whether in school or outside school, we girls suffer great humiliation due to menstruation. It is something that has for long been seen as a point of shame and disgust. Most of our parents do not talk to us about it. Our teachers do not talk to us about it, thinking it is shameful and disgraceful. In an instance where they talk to us about it, boys are always excluded. And now our brothers here think it is dirty. Yes, they may think it is dirty and disgustful, but it is what makes us females. Boys bully us. A lot of fellow girls drop out of school due to menstruation. I come here today as a victim and as a girl to bring to your attention one of the reasons as to why girls drop out of school or completely miss schools. We all know that during menstruation, we girls need pads. But the question is, how many of us can actually afford these pads? For some of us who cannot afford it can actually make it. If you see a point in this, both girls and boys of this school will join us in making reusable sanitary pads. Thank you.
Mana chain.
Hey guys, I feel there is no point in isolating yourselves here. Maybe you can join us in making reusable sanitary pads.
What do you think?
Yeah,
We join them?
we can go. It's a good idea.
So here we go.
Lutina nyira teno chan ulpadano pegingeo wega mini ula pola cheli koma nyaga momani akelo latin kich tika doki pero machalo latina nyaga uchago neno kare ne memon remo chago mol kikome memon aremo chire Abago doga botu megewa Ube choki anyira Uchuk chwingi Mini gitam makonyogi Wekin pegu balanyim Iye Ponyo tina wobe Pegu bekayet Kabuneno remu O palatina nyaga Gine binatura Ikare mukene mol Malatina nyaga Pengeo matwal Gima wego kiluini dago Ena yine no kare memon Gima wego kiluini dago Ena yine no kare memon Kapine no kareni Kadwe utum no komi peyot Kapine no kareni Kadwe utum no komi peyot
Okay. That was Shame of Puberty by Francis Ojokodon. Thank you so much, Francis. Uh, just waiting for Francis to get on. Francis, are you there?
I think he was just kicked out. He's coming back again.
Oh,
Ah, there he is.
oh, there it is. Or did he get bounced again? Let's just hold on for Francis.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
welcome back, Francis.
Thank you. So, but like the power is disturbing so much in Gulu today. So
Sorry about that. Well,
I
we're here.
apologize and for keeping you waiting.
No problem. So
Mm.
let's get into the Q&A sessions. Thank you so much for your wonderful film.
Mm.
So my first question is, what motivated you to address the topic of sanitary pads? And could you also delve into what some of the negative stigmas surrounding female hygiene are in your communities?
Yeah. Thank you, Joel, and thank you everybody who have taken their time to be here this evening. Greetings from Gulu. Um, it's a great honor for me to be here today. So, look, to just jump straight into Joel's question, I think I like to look at myself, and I believe as an artist, just like Nina Simone said, it is an artist's duty to reflect on time upon which he or she lives. And I think so. What motivated me to tell this story uh, in one way or the other, like all came from what I see in my community, and also what I hear and what I read and what I feel. But like the old motivation started came in 2016 in September, I think. We were hired by Peace Corps to go to Masaka and do documentation for their workshop was called Teach to Lead Uganda. And in the workshop, they were basically just training teachers, like participants from teachers colleges. And then so after like the workshop, we took one participant and then interviewed her like what her experiences was during the workshop, because like they were actually having a session on learning how to make reusable sanitary pads. And she told us of how embarrassed she felt because she was in the same room with men.
Mm.
Give me a second to get back on.
Maybe Salonje can share some of her views on the film because I think Ojak needs some time to get back.
Yes, let's do that. Solange, could you please give us your response?
All right.
So I watched Shame of Puberty. I really liked it. And for me, what I took away from it was that instead of having self-pity, you can find an opportunity in everything that goes wrong instead of just sitting back and doing nothing about it. She couldn't afford pads, but what did she do? Because she had a circumstance and she had to fix that problem in the form of clothes for, and in the way that pads look, the pads made by always. So she just created this thing and it was helpful to her, provided her, given her circumstances. So for me, this film was lovely. It had a bit of humor. It had some seriousness to it. It had the interesting music, and the culture and the actors were really good and quite natural. I love this film, and I'm so proud of what Ojok did, and I just can't wait to share my thoughts on it because I really love this fiction film. For me, it had a full sort of arc when it comes to his short, because there was everything. There were problems, and then there were solutions, and then there was a build up to everything, and it worked out great. So I think he's really gifted, and it was a beautiful, beautiful piece.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Francis's as well. Actually, go way back. He was one of the alumni of the Maisha film program when that was still like very active, and he is one of the forerunners really of like this renaissance of like the Gulu film industry. It's kind of like happening. Because the person you have is Bill Mandela, for instance, from Northern Uganda, who has Mama and Me that's currently screening on Pearl Magic. So you have like a lot of talented people coming out of Northern Uganda. So I for one, I'm very interested in also seeing how their film industry like evolves. I think it's going to make for a very interesting, a very diverse range of like stories like from Uganda. So yeah, let's keep.
And it's not even flattery because Ojok is with us. This film really is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Ugandan short fiction film at the moment, because it was in terms of story, script writing, and acting and everything. It was pretty. It was just a good job. Yes.
Okay, looks like he's still having some power issues.
He's trying to join actually.
Okay.
Give him a chance.
Okay.
I also particularly liked the way his edit was. Mostly the ending credits, it was like still black and white, sort of with the names. I think Kizito Samuel Savior is the one who did the edit, and that was beautiful. I knew Samuel Savior for directing. I didn't know he was an editor. I mean, edited his shots as well. So it was impressive. Was he also part of Maisha Film Labs? He was?
No, I don't know if he was at any point, but I know that they collaborated. They had a bit of like a kind of like film training workshop, a bit that they built around making this film. I'm curious to hear from Francis about what those collaborations were like, especially because this was also a giant movie when you're talking in terms of even like short films. Like you literally feel the entire community in this film,
Yeah.
which you feel would be expensive to execute like in the city to get that many bodies. But it had like
Yes.
a layer of love elements to it, like 'cause the film in a school, the city center. It's like every frame like seems like busy, 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 busy. So I'm so curious here, like what that process was like.
He's really gifted in the way he, used the resources he had available. I don't know the backstory, like, because he hasn't yet talked about if he knew from the start. Sometimes when you're writing, you know from the start what locations are available. So I'm working with a school. The school can let me shoot there. But then sometimes you can even have a school available and you just don't know how to create a full art situation like his,
Yes.
in the school home setting. You start thinking, I only have, because some people see what they have available, like you have a home as a filmmaker and, but you're like, what story can I tell within my home? We don't think out of the box like that. And I feel like he really did with this film. And yeah, that was pretty impressive.
Very much. Oh, and yeah, while we're still waiting for him to show up, I can also say the actress as well, playing the lead, Akelo, in the movie, Delish, a very talented young lady. I we met her like while I was still working under my Asia Film Lab. We had like a training workshop in her school, and she was one of the kids. I think she was like 16 or 15 at the time, and they were just super pumped about film. They wrote, directed, shot, and edited entire films for the first time, and they did it in like the span of 5 days. And it's so nice to like see that she graduated and like followed it up. Like she's into acting, she's like a radio host. I think I just saw on Facebook she's starring in a new film again. It's like yeah, like
That's
she's
beautiful.
but that now. Yeah. Francis, you're back. Welcome back, Francis. Oh, mind unmuting for us. Anything okay?
Yeah, I think now, like as we to do the Wi-Fi, we got like another solution from Taraling. The data from my phone.
Okay. So
Sorry about that.
yes, Francis. Also, you can proceed. I don't know if you remember what point.
Yeah. Yes, Joel. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I would just tell you about like then we got this one participant and then like we asked her, then like she shared with us how kind of gave me some thoughts about why is it this way, and then I came back to Gulu and talked to a lot of friends and a lot of female friends. Then like they shared with me like their experiences as far as like menstruation was concerned, and then I read a lot of articles and I thought this is actually a story worth telling. So now I come from a family where like we are mostly boys. Only like our last born, I think she's right now just about 7 years old, which is a girl. So like it's something that I don't remember our mom talking about. Same thing also like in the families where they're actually girls. I don't know if their mothers would because it's something that is considered like a and so I just wanted to ask as a storyteller to make this film so that we could open debates and discussion about issues that actually affect girls, like in schools. I chose like to approach it from angle of a school going girl, and then like that's how like the story all came about. And I'm glad that it is in one way or the other, enable discussion, for example, here locally in Gulu and West Nile, and a lot of girls actually to talk about their menstrual issues and stuff like that. And it was a really lot of pain making this story, but I'm glad that it actually served its purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a question from one of the audience members, Pompilla. She says, which sector of Uganda's population did the film target with this message, and why?
I think more upcountry population. It doesn't necessarily have to be only, say, like in northern Uganda. Every single now and then I see statistics, and for example, like where I come from, like that region as a whole is projected to be one of the regions that is seriously hit by poverty. And so it means like a lot of, like a whole family household sometimes live in less than $1 per day. So like for one, like to buy sanitary pads, which normally takes about 3 to 5 days. So like for them, like it becomes an issue like to afford sanitary pads. And so like if you live like the town areas, and then you go in the villages, and not even necessarily just only like in the villages, but a lot of areas where young girls cannot easily afford sanitary pad month in and then month out. And then also then you get to realize these are like the girls who are actually very, very voiceless because of what society expects of them. They're not able to stand up and then just talk about what affects them. And but I also think also has to do with the system put in place by the government to support girls in schools and stuff like that. Because we got to realize like the priority that like the government give might not necessarily be making sure like the girl stays in school even during like their menstruation. And so like just like a compare and contrast, because of like what the situation in Kampala might be different from like up country, but also we need to understand that not everybody in Kampala is well off, or not everybody in Gulu City is well off. So like the story to me, I think it is more diverse than just telling a story of a rural girl, but then it's like a story that just comes from every single community where we come from. There's always somebody who is not as well off as we are. And then there are like simple things that they miss that actually post their life in a very terrible state, and it could be something that we take for granted, And so basically, like the target was just like to make a story that would just speak for girls, not necessarily only on African girls, because if you like go in the menstruation, then you can realize like girls all around the world have all these challenges accessing sanitary pads, but then they also have a lot of myth surrounding something like menstruation that I thought even if I'm my man, is something that I wanted to actually address, because it is like a subject matter that speaks to me like as a person, and knowing that I can use our art to actually be the voice to the voiceless. And yeah, basically.
Okay, thank you, Francis. So next question is, you have a lot of big locations. You have a very big cast of people in your film. So it feels like a very massive. I felt the presence of the community in every aspect. You're shooting at a school. You're shooting at a trading center. And it feels like things that would be expensive to execute, like say here in the city. So I'm curious, what are like the collaborations like that went into putting this film together? What are your conversations with the schools, the people in your local area? Yeah, please shed more light on that.
Yeah, Joel, I would like to think it is like 10 times more difficult to make a film in Gulu than it would be in places, say, for example, like Kampala. Like in a lot of ways, I would say this is because also like the people up country still don't yet necessarily appreciate film art. And so for you to actually go out there and tell people, even if they have millions of shillings, to say, could you invest 500,000 that we want to buy food and transport ourselves is really very hard. But then over time, I'm glad that you've been to Gulu, we've worked here and then you understand like how things work. But then for us to be able to make space in Northern Uganda, it all boils down to collaboration. And like how that happens is, like I have my story, maybe I don't have like the equipment to make it, and have like a colleague who has equipment, but it doesn't know necessarily how to write. And then like there's somebody who is good to edit, like it's good in editing, but it doesn't know how to do all these other things. So that how we do it is to collaborate. So when I wrote this script, and I talked to my younger brother, Okelo Dong, who is the producer, and I told him, I really think we need to tell this story. And I said, okay, like let's do it. But then of course, like there was no money. And then so what we had to do was like to make sure that we reach out to friends. And like one of the first people that I reached out to was Xavier. And I sent him like the script, but then he read it and then like he loved it. So yo man, like this story is so good and I want to be part of it. And I said, yes, I know you're in Kampala, so like I don't have the budget to bring you to Gulu. Then he said, no, I just want to find a way to come to Gulu, and then I can just we can do this. So they said, okay. Then I talked to the producer of Kelo, and then we had to find resources to just transport them to come to Gulu, and like with his team of 3 other people. And then I also had to collaborate with the filmmakers here in Northern Uganda, like from Signature Film and Festival Pictures. And so we had to put like a very small crew, the crew of people who actually would add value to this production, you know. And but then to me, I thought like also like the production of this film, like the best experience to me came when we were working with the primary school, and we wrote a letter and then went to the head teacher, then explained to him like the story I want to tell, and then he was very positive and said, okay, like you guys are we can give it like the location. But then also like the POPs that we worked with them, most of them are actually mute, most of them are deaf, so like they couldn't hear, they couldn't talk. And so I thought it was a good experience for me as a director to actually try to find a way to work with them. And it was something that excited me, even if it was very challenging, because I thought, you know, in the society we go out there and people would think, you know, like they're useless, they can't do anything, but they were able like to breathe life into this story that we are trying to tell. And I think like they did an amazing job that we had like to shoot like all these cool scenes. I don't know, like in about 2 hours or something, or even less.
What?
And then it was approaching. Yeah, and then it was approaching at the time that the people were supposed to be going back home. And then so it was very challenging, but it was a good experience. But then also I think then for us that we do things here, you just have to find solution. You have to be as quick as like you're not paying people. And so if they choose like, okay, we are gonna leave, they will leave anyways because they've actually just donated for you their time. And yeah, so that is basically like how that happened. And then also we just talked like to other people who were able to just support in one way or the other. But then like no matter, like I always get thrilled like to hear people saying like the film is well done, and then like the film is well done on literally no budget, no budget. But then we just had to maximize everything that we had to make sure we could tell a story. And then so with the whole production of this short film, we all came to an understanding that actually it is not the budget that makes the film, but actually like the team that you have, you know. So if you have like a do or die team that I was so blessed to have, and like they gave it their all. And then like I just kept telling Xavier every now and then, I say like this film, like the condition that we made this film was so terrible that it surprised me and Anthony that it actually turned out to be one of the best films we've ever done. But then it actually nearly something that people actually didn't know about it is that like Summit Xavier nearly lost his life. He nearly died during like the post-production of this film because he came to Gulu. Yeah, he nearly because they had a very serious bus accident like with Gaga, and then he had brought like the film so that we could see like the rough cut, and then we could watch through like the edit. And I said, man, like this is crazy. And then like because we had not paid him to be part of this production, and then like I wouldn't even know what I would say to anybody, to his family, to like to the filmmaking fraternity that Seves dead because he came to Gulu like to be part of this. And I also actually think it was a good collaboration because he's like this one guy that would, once he wanted to do a project, would give it all his best. And it really turned out great. Yeah.
You did a really good job. Wow, I didn't know there was that much drama behind the scenes.
A lot of drama. Like there are some dramas that we just like to keep it. Maybe someday we'll talk about it when we are older. Yeah.
Okay. So my next question. The film also paints a picture. You have just talked about how for you to make films in northern Uganda, it's all about collaboration because there are no resources. And I feel like you mirrored that in the film itself with the Akello character, because she has no access to sanitary pads, but she doesn't just sit down and say, I can't do anything. She goes out and she innovates and comes up with a new way to like fulfill that need. So can you elaborate on some of the avenues young people in Gulu in general are using to like make their situations better? Because it seems like, at least for me especially, I'm very happy to see that the arts industry itself is on the rise in Gulu.
Yeah.
So what kind of opportunity? Yeah.
I think Gulu as a new city, that I think it also like from its background from all, I think more than 2 decades of war, it's actually trying to evolve, into a proper and like a proper urban city. And I think also like what basically inspired like the kid actually doing what she did in the story. I think it also hold back to our childhood, I would say. So most of us grew up in a family where our parents didn't buy fast toys, and so you had to find, as a child, you had to find a way to get something to play with, and so that had to go with, using a vehicle and then going like to gather some sorghum reed, and then you could make yourself a toy car because like they really couldn't buy. And so I thought that could also like be one of the things like to try to use in the story, so that perhaps it don't. Okay. But also like to come back to your question, I think Google apparently is having a lot of innovations. So like this is even outside of film art, and this you find a group of young people who are actually in one way or the other, as a result of limited employment opportunity, are actually finding innovative ways to make sure that they make a living. And I would give an example of like some firms like Taka Plastics, I would say, that like they do work with young people from the streets, and they collect plastic bottles, and then they recycle like these plastic bottles into reusable items. Like they make like tiles that people use like in their houses or like in the compound, and they make like face shield, because like there's COVID here, so as opposed to wearing a mask, you can actually have like a face shield. And then also I've known of a lot of women's group who actually involve themselves in making reusable sanitary pads, so that as like their approach to actually help like the girls in schools. And then like also like these girls are actually have like clubs in their school where they learn how to make like all this stuff. And then so in one way or the other, like these are things that it might not bring them like a lot of money, but then you also get to see like their approach to like whatever thing that they do is also helping to solve like global issues, because like then we know like how all these later things is a lot of problems here and there. So those are like some of the few things that I know of in Gulu that I think like the young people are really doing just a great job with. And I think like the creative sector here is growing. And so if us who are doing film could also struggle, and then we have those who are actually recycling plastics are also creatively doing what they have to do. So I just think like over time things would be okay.
Yeah, that's very encouraging.
Yeah.
So my next question: has the film screened yet in Gulu? Has there been any reception from the people there?
Yes, the film was screened in Gulu. We had its premiere in 2018 October, and it was, even if it was a short film, like the premiere was big. A lot of people turn up because, well, they wanted like to see a local story made from Gulu with Gulu actors, and like their reception was really good. Jimmy, their reaction was really good because I personally sat next to some people in the audience who were literally crying. You know, they would watch like whatever like the main character of the story is going through, they would make them break down. And so like I just kept quiet and I thought, you know, like this is deep. And then also like afterward, like someone came to me and said, you know, I felt like you told my story because like this like the same thing that happened to me in school and you know, it kind of made me realize that even if it was just like a story being told, like there's a lot of people who related to this story. And then also like in 2019, we had like the community screenings in West Nile, where we went to a lot of sub-counties like to actually use like the film to like to make women talk about their issues through a project called like Our Voice. And then even like people who are very reserved about talking about this menstruation issues after watching the film, they would laugh about it. But afterward, when like come like to the post-screening discussion, they would actually open up and like share the experiences, like either in school or in the communities where they live. So like the reception has really been good, and like there's a lot of community organization who actually asked like if they could use like our short film so that they could also like, you know, pass on some education like to the girls, and I think that's been great.
Oh, that's good. And I think my last one is I would like you to discuss a bit the current growth and evolution of the Gulu film industry. You and your brother Anthony running New Hood Films up there. So you're one of the people on the frontier. So what are your feelings? Like I know of course you've had your struggles, but for me this is a triumph that you guys have a shame of puberty and that you've done other projects.
Yeah.
So what is it? So what is it like right now?
Yeah. First and foremost, it is still hard. You know, it's a hard run every now and then, like every single day, because then you got to realize, like filmmaking in Gulu, it is still less than 15 years old. I mean, like the actual active making of the film is still less than 15 years, and so like the ground is still not so level. But then I actually think we are, me and Okelo Dong and other people have been investing heavily in training a lot of emerging filmmakers, and then through all the workshops and stuff like that. And right now we have a lot of potential storytellers up here in Northern Uganda, not only in Gulu, who are actually so passionate about telling stories. So to me, I think like my analysis, like, you know, from the point that we started making short films to actually in around 2014 or 2015, when they made like the first feature film, and by only like Maisha African Film Festival, and actually founding, and then also in Gulu International Film Festival, and then actually to make a like short film like Shame of Puberty, which one in Uganda, Ghana, and UK, and then actually having like young people who have won grants, for example, like from Konyesha Art Fund, to actually produce and create content, to actually filmmakers in Gulu being involved in the production of TV series in Kampala. For example, like how you said earlier, like I was one of the directors on Mama and Me. It's season 1 that just I think like we just concluded like season 1 airing on DSTV, and then I have like other people working like in different shows like Prestige. And me, I think Gulu is growing, and then like our biggest emphasis is like to see how we can turn this into Gulu into like an East African film hub, you know, where people will come to shoot. And I think that's like the goal that we have right now, to actually engage like the local people so that they can also appreciate film, and then also like talk to like the mayors and then like the local leaders to actually find a way to set up like some sort of a film office, so that maybe we could also have like a registry of people who are involved in film, and then like potential locations where people can actually come and film. And it is just something that we're moving toward that. I think like in the near future, seeing a lot of come from Northern Ghana story of progress of this particular place, because well, it was, you know, in war, and then we're also going to be seeing like stories of resilience, and then like also not forget like the beautiful culture that we have up north. So basically, that is what I foresee.
That's lovely. Thank you, Francis. We're going to hear from Solange now.
Yes.
To give her response directly to Francis. Again, for you all out there, if you have any questions for Francis, please feel free to add them in the chat, and we'll get to them. But for now, let's hear from Solange.
Okay.
Yes, so Francis, when you had jumped off, I already reviewed your film. I really loved it. I loved
Thank
the
you.
whole story. The arc, for me, it was a full story, and given your resources, and I just wanted to know, because sometimes, you know, I went to KFS, and sometimes the most affordable location is what you have available, and sometimes you have available just the school.
Yeah.
But sitting down and you think about a story you're going to take, you know, that's going to surround this university. I mean, sometimes you can't come up, some people can't come up, or even me in some situations, you know, you can't come up with a story of a full arc like yours around home, school, which are the locations we have available. So the fact that you use that to have a full entire film that, you know, from the start, we see where it's going, we see the beginning, we see, you know, we see it all happen. And I was just really impressed by your writing. You are the script writer. Yes.
Yeah, I
and
did.
Your writing it's impeccable. And I also love the edit. I know Samuel from other projects. I didn't even know he was an editor. Okay, I knew he directed. I didn't know he edited too. I was impressed. And I also like the acting. Were they non-actors by then? Because Joe was saying that the girl Akelo went on to be an actor, media personality in Gulu, but at that point, was she a new fresh actor?
So I think, not to really brag, I would like to think that I am one of the people who actually discovered Dillis, which she played Akelo. In 2016, we had a project here that we're working on, and then we were working with schools, and like the school where she was attending, she was one of the participants for the film club, and even like the joy was there. It was fun actually working with young people. And so like from the time that it was our first time to act, first of all, and then but it actually, yes, like it was our first time to act. But then also my intention, like as the director, was not to use the people we use in the short film. We actually, like, there were schools, primary schools actually, that we were thinking of, that when we went, like the director kind of made it complicated. And they said for us, if you want to work with the papers, we need to write the letters to their parents, and then we have to hear from, like, response from their parents. And then so I thought, like, I didn't have that time. And so I called Dillis. I think by then she could have been in our S6 vacation, something of that sort. She just, and I say, like, we have to do this story. And then, like, she came through. And like, but that was our first time to act. I'm really, really proud to say that I've been doing film. It's going to be near like 10 years this year, but no amount of payment has been so gratifying to me than seeing Billy become who she is right now. And she has done a lot of other films. And then I think now we see Kayla by Cici coming up, but then she was also like the main character. So I think like her journey has been amazing for me, that we were the people who saw her from day one, and now seeing her to where she is. To me, I think at least even if I die today, I feel like maybe you've kind of created some impact, but I still think I still want to create more impact. So yeah.
Okay. And another beautiful thing about your film was the community support, the support you got from, the Gulus. I mean, as a beginner filmmaker, we don't have most of that financial support, but what we have is people around us. We know up and coming filmmakers, we know but the fact that people could chip in, even, and making fiction now, like making documentary is expensive, then making fiction, no matter how short, it's quite, it's really a lot. So the fact that your community was there to embrace it, and even when you got into distributing the film, the fact that they came in numbers to, for the screenings. I'm just proud of you for making Gulu proud, and I'm just so happy that the filmmakers there and here, I hope I get to know a lot of those, because I know so many people who are just, I mean, they don't seem to be that passionate about, film, because we may not have all the money at the start, but we have our hands and we have our skills, and we can make something great even from nothing. So it's really motivating to see that you got all that support for this short and managed to pull it off. And I'm just proud of you.
Thank you so much. It's so kind of you, Titi. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm still looking forward to an opportunity like to work together.
That's great.
Sure thing.
Yeah.
Sure thing.
Yeah, really proud of you too, Francis. Great job. So we have a comment here from YouTube. Sally Rich says, thanks for this film. Thanks for this well done film. I've shared it with sponsors of Acholi Kids in the Sparrow Fund sponsorship program. I know the school was Laro. Curious, where was Akelo's neighborhood filmed?
Hey, Sally. I am glad to learn that. I think maybe you know a bit of Gulu, and that is cool. The neighborhood where we shot like Kakero scenes were in Laro, and then like there's this place behind Tax Center. Like once you move from Tax Center down, it is called 4GB. It is not far away from Gulu Central High School. And so like that's where we shot everything. And then like they say a small market also called 4GB, and then like the homestead where we got the location to shoot was not also so far away. And yeah, but it was all within Gulu City. Yeah.
Thank you, Francis.
But also, yeah, thank you for sharing. I think it is so kind of you, first of all, like to share, because it is hard here to actually tell a story, but then also like if like for example like this sharing could also bring opportunities like to create more stories, then it's equally good. And I look forward to hearing from you someday soon, and like to see how we can engage. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Digital Docs bringing people together. So I think that is it for this Q&A session. I'd like to thank you all for joining us. Big thank you to Salon,
USB.
And a big thank you to Francis as well. Thank you so much for your wonderful films.
Wow.
Thank you for everything you imparted.
Well,
oh, actually, Francis, you have one more question. We're going to sneak
yes.
one more question in. This is from Pompila. Says Gulu City and East African Film Hub. I love to see that realized. Beautiful dream.
Oh, thank you, Pompila. Thank you so much for. Thank you. I just think it would take everybody's work. Try to support also you yourself as much as possible, and like try to share with as many people as possible. And then I think we just need to support one another's work, and then I think together we can actually make Gulu become what it has to be. Thank you.
Agreed. Yeah, thank you all who have participated in the comment sections and interacted with our filmmakers. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, one more thing. Sorry, Joel.
Oh, go for it. Go
Okay.
for it.
So I put up a Twitter account and an Instagram account, which is Films by Solange, so that you can follow Demystifying Lifts and Lows and the other projects to come. So I'd like it if you guys could follow right there.
Yeah, sure. That is all okay. I think we just after this maybe find some ways like to talk, like we'll just send maybe an email and then we could just kick it out from there. And please, Joel has already been to Gulu, and like Sally has been to Gulu, and I think Pompil has been to Gulu. It's your turn to come. And then like also a lot of other people in the audience, please. Yeah.
Everyone's invited to Gulu. So,
yes.
So without further ado, I'm going to invite the new director of Gute Zentrum, Christian Kettlehat, to sign us off, give us a closing word. Christian, you have the floor.
Yes, hello to you all. And yeah, it's actually, can you hear me? I cannot see if you hear me. Yes, okay. Yeah, our first DocsDay is coming to an end now, but yes, before I let you all go in the evening, let me say a few words of thanks to you all, especially to you, the filmmaker Solange and Francis. Yes, for the great work, and also for giving us the insights in the lives of struggled people here in Uganda, and bring those or their anxieties to our attention, and so they are to the attention to people who maybe don't have no point of contact with the conditions like a lot of children, men and women out there have. And as we discussed, yeah, it raises a lot of questions about things you mentioned about public information, about access to information, yes, and the need to talk about those problems people have. Especially that's because yeah, it can happen to all of us, first of all, yeah, and or to our loved ones, and to deal with that is often a matter of, as we learned, of social structure, as or the infrastructure and information. Those of you who are luckily not affected by conditions, whatever shade of the spectrum, films like these may help you. Who are affected, pardon, may help to see that you're not alone. People are able to listen. People are able to feel and hear you. And as the last commenter just mentioned, to dream with you, which is a very nice expression. And so to help, yes. And yes, I also want to thank you, Joel, for the question, and also for that you accompanied us through this and moderated this evening. Also thanks to my team at Goethe, yes, that you
a bit of a breakup there.
Yeah, it seems like the internet is not on our side today.
Oh.
But I think, yeah, we can close it here. So you also had the chance to get to know our new director, And also thank you from my side for DocsDay and always coming up these technical issues, but nevertheless, I enjoyed the conversation so much and I hope you did too. I hope soon we also have DocsDay as a real event back on our rooftop or in the basement. And Christian is back, okay. Then I say bye from my side and thanks to everyone. Let's stay in touch. I really hope to see you back again in our program, Ojak and Salonja. That would be amazing. Yeah, don't forget to watch the film again. You find it in the YouTube chat bar still. And I wish everyone a nice evening.
Thank you so much, Sina. Thank you, Godzentrum, for the opportunity and pleasure meeting you, Francis.
Okay.
Okay,
bye-bye.
guys. Regards from Gulo.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Mm.